Well, let's begin with some breaking news, because here in the UK, the head of the Metropolitan Police in London, Dame Cressida, is expected to resign. The BBC News political editor, Laura Kunsberg, has tweeted, Met Commissioner expected to be leaving her job. Announcement shortly, says Laura. The Met Commissioner is leaving, as sources confirmed, we're told. Official announcement shortly. Early suggestions are that Mayor Sadiq Khan asked her to leave, but still nothing official. And bear in mind, the Mayor has been critical of some recent findings about the behaviour of some Metropolitan police officers and the fact that some of those officers remain in their posts. Well, earlier today, speaking on BBC Radio London, Dame Cressida said she had no intention of resigning.
I have absolutely no intention of going, and I believe that I am, and have been actually, for the last 5 years, leading a real transformation in the Met. We have a service now which is, I'm absolutely certain, more professional, fairer, more transparent, more accountable and closer to its communities, and more effective in, for example, reducing violent crime, which has been going down year on year on year in almost every category, bucking the national trend. So we have been performing and we have good people in the main. I have been transforming the way people are, who the people are, and the way they conduct themselves.
So that was earlier on BBC Radio London, with Cressida saying she didn't intend to resign and that she's led a transformation within the Met Police. But now she's going to be stepping down. Our Home Affairs correspondent June Kelly joins me here in the BBC newsroom. June, what more do we know about the reasons why?
Well, Ross, that's not clear at the moment. We had been told the Commissioner was likely to go this evening, and we think there's going to be some sort of interview at Scotland Yard. But before we've got to that point, obviously the news has emerged that Cressida long policing career is over. Obviously, she had been in very dire straits in recent times in terms of her reputation and how she was running the country's largest force. And yesterday we had an ultimatum from Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, seen as a long-time ally of the Commissioner, but suddenly he was getting very tough indeed and saying he wanted to see results quickly. Now, goodness knows what has happened since that interview this morning, that phone-in that the Commissioner took part in, but something clearly has happened during the day, and the feeling is now that her position is untenable. And of course the question now is, has she gone of her own volition, or has she been pushed this afternoon?
Well, June, as you're speaking to me, I'm now reading the text of a statement that has been released by the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. Let me read that. It says, and this has just come out in the last couple of minutes, he says, last week I made it clear to the Met Police Commissioner the scale of the change I believe is urgently required to rebuild the trust and confidence of Londoners in the Met and to root out the racism, sexism, homophobia, bullying, discrimination and misogyny that still exists. I'm not satisfied with the Commissioner's response. On being informed of this, Dame Cressida has said she will be standing aside. It's clear that the only way to start to deliver the scale of the change required is to have new leadership right at the top. I would like to thank Dame Cressida for her 40 years of dedicated public service, with the vast majority spent at the Met, where she was the first woman to become Commissioner. In particular, I commend her for the recent work in helping us to bring down violent crime in London, although of course there is more to do. Sadiq Khan goes on, I want to put on the record again that there are thousands of incredibly brave and decent police officers at the Met who go above and beyond every day to help us keep safe, and we owe them a huge debt of gratitude. He completes his statement by saying, I will now work closely with the Home Secretary on the appointment of a new Commissioner so that we can move quickly to restore trust in the capital's police service while keeping London safe. June, I wonder what your response is to that.
Well, that is absolutely astonishing. He has basically forced her out. And what is interesting is this is a repeat of a situation we saw more than a decade ago when Sir Ian Blair, the then Commissioner, was forced out by the Mayor of London, Boris Johnson. And obviously what Sadiq Khan said yesterday after delivering the ultimatum about shape up or ship out was really, he acknowledged he couldn't actually force her out. It was basically that job is in the gift of the Home Secretary. But the key thing is that relationship between the Mayor and the Commissioner has to work. And once she had lost his confidence, and he was so public about the fact that she had lost his confidence, clearly things have become very toxic indeed. And presumably that is why, since Dame Cressida spoke on BBC Radio this morning, things have obviously unravelled during the day, and the feeling is that she has to go. And the mayor there making it very clear that he was the person who made it plain that she did have to leave now.
And for those of you just joining us, Dame Cressida Dick, the head of the Metropolitan Police, is going to be stepping down. Just to reiterate the crucial part of that statement from the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, saying, "I am not satisfied with the Commissioner's response. On being informed of this, Dame Cressida Dick has said she will be standing aside." Now, June, just put this in context for us. Why is Sadiq Khan so focused on the need to change the culture within the Metropolitan Police right now here in mid-February?
Well, we have seen a number of calamitous episodes happening in the Met in the last 12 months. We go back just almost 12 months ago, the terrible killing of Sarah Everard by a serving Met officer. Now, questions over Wayne Couzens, the man who killed Sarah Everard, and the way he'd been vetted, and a lot of issues that flow from there. From there, we had the whole issue of violence against women and the fact that many women in London felt they were not protected on the streets and they felt the Met was not doing enough. Then we saw those scenes at the Sarah Everard vigil where we had a young woman pinned to the floor by a Met officer. Now, while the force was exonerated in an official report, those images went round the world, not doing the Met any good at all. Since then, we've had a number of very high-profile episodes. We've had the whole Partygate running story and a lot of criticism about why didn't the Met go in earlier and investigate. And if that had happened, we wouldn't have had all this mess over the Gray report and the police investigation. Then I think what put the lid on it was this report last week into what had been happening at Charing Cross police station in central London. That is a central London police station, one of a high-profile station in the capital, where quite recently a number of officers have been sending appalling WhatsApp, homophobic, misogynistic, also very, very offensive messages. And the feeling was there that the Mayor of London was particularly angry about that and the way that had been dealt with. And some of those officers involved in that were still in the force and what had been promoted. So you put all that together, Ross, you've got a terribly, terribly strong brew, and clearly Sadiq Khan has just lost patience.
June, thank you very much indeed for the moment. There's June Kelly with us here in the BBC Newsroom. Now, Laura Kunsberg, the BBC News political editor, continues to tweet about this. She says it seems Sadiq Khan made it clear she was going to be asked to leave, so she quit instead. She will stay on for a short while so the Home Office and City Hall can find a successor. So Cressida Dick is still in charge of the Met Police, but it seems for not very long at all. Laura goes on. The Mayor made clear to Cressida Dick he didn't have confidence in plans she presented to him to sort out the Met and asked her to meet him today. She declined and resigned instead. So we're getting more detail here that after that interview on BBC Radio London where Dame Cressida Dick outlined the work she felt she had done in the last 5 years, outlined why she felt her leadership could continue, well, the Mayor of London communicated to her that he wasn't satisfied with the plan that he had seen. He asked for a conversation. She declined and instead has said she will be stepping down. Though to be clear, she has not stepped down yet. We expect that to come once a replacement has been agreed. That will be a mixture of a decision between the Home Office, the Home Secretary and of course the City Hall, with the Mayor of London leading their side of the equation. Now, Dame Cressida Dick has been under pressure, as June was outlining, over a number of controversies. Some of them involve the behaviour of individual Met police officers in recent months. Last week, a watchdog report found disgraceful misogyny, discrimination and sexual harassment among some officers. Last year, the Metropolitan Police Service officer Wayne Couzens murdered Sarah Everard. The force's subsequent policing of a vigil for Sarah Everard, as June Kelly was telling us, came under scrutiny after several demonstrators were arrested. The Met also came under scrutiny for its management of crowds at the Euro 2020 football tournament last year. They were also criticised for failing to open investigation into the Downing Street lockdown parties until the Sue Gray report was about to be completed, at which point the police announced they would be investigating after all, which meant that Sue Gray's report was not published in full in case it in any way got in the way of that police investigation. There was also pressure coming directly from the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan.
Next time I see her, I want to see what her response is to the examples, not of one officer, of 14 officers being involved in racist, sexist, misogynistic, homophobic, anti-Semitic, Islamophobic and the like behaviour. And secondly, what her plans are to win back the trust and confidence that's been both knocked and shattered as a consequence.
So a reminder that Cressida Dick will be stepping down, not immediately, but very, very soon, having had what sounds like a stark disagreement over whether her plan to continue to evolve the culture of Metropolitan Police was satisfactory or not. The mayor thinks it wasn't, she thought it was, and that disagreement has ended up with her stepping down. Well, let's